It's Daybreak. Now let's take a look at what's making the headlines on the papers around the world this morning. We begin with this day newspaper. And right there, a bold picture of the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. My re-election decision in the hands of Lagosians. Another bold one here, still on value-added tax. Akeredolu plan to amend constitution over VAT will be dead on arrival. Says Southern governors support electronic transmission of election results. And one more here, Emefiele, CBN to OK legitimate foreign exchange demand exceeding approved cap.
And moving on to the Punch newspaper, the headline here on the front page of the Punch newspaper says, Masari under fire. Akeredolu, the governor of Ondo State, says the FIRS planned amendment will be dead on arrival. VAT collection battle, test for Nigeria's democracy, Lagos tells Katsina governor. And free money has made states lazy. That's the Pandef replying Masari on his comment. And more states will support us to kill FIRS plan amendment by Akeredolu. And just right under that, it's a picture of some Haitian migrants, a group of over 10,000 people on the U.S. side of the border trying to cross to Rio Grande River to get food and water in Mexico.
Well, to the Nation newspaper now, where it's also reporting the controversial VAT. However, it's reporting the concerns of private businesses. It says private business groups on VAT status. We are confused. State laws, court rulings create problems of how and where to pay. States will reject FIRS, that's the Federal Inland Revenue Service bid to alter exclusive lists. And above the masthead of the Nation this morning, vaccination by public servants now mandatory in Osun State, southwest Nigeria. That's coming from the governor. As 400 PhD holders teaching in all your secondary schools. And finally, above that masthead, a very sad story coming yesterday in Nigeria. The ex-Central Bank of Nigeria chief, Melafia, taken to 3 hospitals in 2 days. He was reported dead yesterday.
And moving on now to The Guardian, Nigeria. Manufacturers' demand for Forex nears $2 billion amid scarcity, weak Naira. A middle-class Nigerian shop for stable dollar as foreign exchange crisis continues. And this says here the Naira in moment of decision trades at 570 to a dollar. Another headline here says gunmen on the rampage in Southeast killed 3 policemen, torch INEC office, disperse political meeting. Resident doctors continue strike, appeal against court ruling.
And moving to international papers, we have on the first international paper is the I newspaper. And focusing on this headline here, it says energy firms in gas crisis demand end to price cap. Now, household bills are set to soar after big rises in wholesale prices put suppliers out of business. And the soaring cost of gas has also hit industries and raising fears that the NHS procedures may have to be cancelled and food production curbed.
And the Times is leading with taxpayers facing a multi-billion pound bill to help energy companies. That's the Times. This multi-billion pound bill is to help the energy companies cope with the fallout from rising gas prices on the plans being considered by ministers. That's the Times. But let's go to the Financial Times you have on your screen now. It's reporting that UK's largest energy suppliers are requesting a multi-billion pound emergency support package from the government to help them survive the crisis backed by gas prices.
And a quick look at The Guardian UK. Eat the rich. The young people turning against capitalism. But the boldest headline there says emergency talks in bid to contain fallout from surge in gas prices. And Jimmy Greaves, 1940 to 2021. That's the prolific goal scorer was widely considered to be England's finest marksman, and he went on to become a popular TV pundit. He's passed on now. And this bold one here, we can't forget that one. French cancel UK defence meeting as a fallout from the AUKUS row.
Well, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello to review these papers with us. Emmanuel, good to see you this Monday morning. But let's begin with the rather sad news that came in yesterday. Someone well known to the media and, of course, Nigerians, the ex-CBN governor, Bamidele Melafia, who died.
Yes, quite sad story there, and I think an interesting one too. Unfortunately, the papers are more worried about the VAT crisis and, of course, the crisis of politics and the security and error. So those dominated the headlines. But over there, it's an emerging story, and it's a big story. And when you look at the drama surrounding his death, the insinuations that are being made now by even the Middle Belt Forum in a statement saying, look, we don't understand this kind of death, and the fact that he was a critic of government and everything. Some form of political, readings are beginning to be made out there, and I think that's what's going to make it a big story in the next few days, especially how the contending forces are able to address the central issue of his death, considering that on one hand he was a critic of government, very strong one, and then of course the way he was handled in the hospitals according to his family, and now the statement by the Middle Belt Forum, and that is where he's from, the part of the country is from, insinuating, even with some rights group claiming that some kind of investigation should be made, to some form of investigation should be carried out on his death, insinuating that this could be some political kind of killing, because he was in the forefront of criticizing government. We should expect a pushback from government to saying, well, our hands are not in this. But this is what's going to make Bamidele Melafia story a big one. But for today, it's not dominating the headlines. I think a few people just have it chalked up somewhere. But it's a big story out there, and Nigerians are talking about it.
Yes, Emmanuel, and speaking of dominating the headlines, we have this value-added tax drama or battle yet again. Akeredolu is saying that the FIRS request for VAT to be included on the exclusive list will fail and is dead on arrival. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a continuing story. We rightly predicted that this is a story that won't go away. It's a developing story. It's a story that is dominating out there. Already we've seen counter, fireworks across the country. You have a northern governor like Masari shouting out somewhere in some other headlines where Masari was saying that, look, we're not going to take this. Arising from their meeting on last week, when southern governors actually weighed on this and said, look, VAT is going to be controlled by states. You should expect that there will be more dramas around it. And now even it's now becoming a constitutional matter. So VAT is not going to go away. There are going to be arguments already. We're in court. The case is in court. Governors are talking about it. The northern elements, like Governor Masari, weighed on it strongly at the weekend. And some other people are already talking about it. So this is a story that won't go away. At the end of the day, like some people say, democracy itself is on trial. Some people say fiscal federalism is on the forefront, and a whole lot of issues are around the issue of the VAT. So we should expect more headlines this week with all sorts of arguments coming. Already in some of the newspaper reporting around the VAT story are saying that businessmen themselves are confused. That is what the federal government has insisted, that look, when you have states collecting VAT, you're going to confuse businessmen, that they won't know where to pay. It's going to be double jeopardy for them. That is the push that the federal government is making. Some businessmen seem to be saying that too in some of the headlines that are making the rounds around these stories today.
And while we gun for a resolution on the VAT issue, something else related to that is 2023. And still, Akeredolu was speaking with Arise News earlier on This Day Live, and he did say that Tinubu is our southern Capone in APC, and without him, we probably can't make some decisions. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that's what's going to make 2023 very interesting. And again, here is part of. I mean, he's the leader of that bunch, the Southern Governors Forum, and they are saying that look, power must shift. So this all aspect of the 2023, the tussle between. Remember that Umahi too, in some part of in another story, Umahi is saying that well, he doesn't think that his Southern counterparts are serious about power shift. And now you have Akeredolu saying that, look, Tinubu is the Capone. The use of the word Capone is a very strong one. It has all the mafian images around it. The fact that he... so, are they going to work for him? Is this touching on his famed or talked about presidency push? So, well, these are some of the issues that are going to be making headlines as we go into the week. I think 2023 is beginning to... as we run into the last set or the last part of the year. Of course, the issue of 2023, 2022 is there in the corner. I think the issue of 2023 is going to be very dominant, and we're going to have all sorts of interesting story, exclusive interviews with the big players talking about power shift. And power shift, the rotation of power from the north to the south is going to be very dominant. The two parties are going to have to deal with these issues. Where are they going to source their presidential candidate from? Where they want to zone it to? All that is going to be big issues around the issue of 2023, the issue of power shift. And so maybe Akeredolu is actually making a push already for not just the region like he did at the weekend, but also for even an individual. We're going to have more of those kind of stories, and it's going to be very interesting. I think that's what's going to make reporting 2023 very interesting. The issue of power shift, the issue of the individuals, the issue of what the political parties' decisions that they will make, how APC and PDP are going to counter the issue of power shift. It's going to be an interesting it's going to be interesting as stories, and as those of us in the newsroom are going to be looking at the dramas and the personality involved.
On the international scene, Emmanuel, these big shots have been going head to head. The US, the UK, Australia, France, China. It's the AUKUS Pact, and they've been going back and forth. And just recently this morning, the French cancelled they pulled out of a UK defense meeting because of the row stemming from the submarine deal Australia signed with the US.
Well, I think it's just part of the back and forth of international politics and diplomacy, especially around the issue of international security. We did the story last week. We reviewed the story on their deal in the Pacific region with Australia and all of that, to secure some of these places against China growing power around that area. And now today, it's a developing story. We see, the French saying, no, we are not going to be part of it and pulling out. And their reasons are simple, that it seems as if the UK and the US are trying to dominate, especially in the area of manufacturing submarines and the other things that go with that. So it's a developing story and an interesting one. I think we should stay on this story to see, is there going to be more fallout now that France is not going to be part of it? Is that also good news for the Chinese government that originally was already feeling alienated in that whole arrangement? So these are the questions I think those who are interested in international news and those of us who are interested in what is happening around the world will continue to look at and see what happens in the next few days. What's going to be the backlash of France pulling out? Is that going to weaken the alliance, or are they going to seek for better partners as they secure that area? What is going to now start to partner with China, or what? So those are some of the interesting insights that I'm sure news watchers like us will be watching to see what happens in the next few days. But at the heart of it is the issue of international security and, of course, even international business around it.
Yes, Emmanuel. All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello, for joining us on the press review today.